What's your favorite Pokemon?
Incineroar. It's also my channel mascot.
All right, good conversation. That's been the podcast.
That's the podcast.
This just in. Red Gyarados spotted at Lake Awdi. Breaking news. Sudden storms over Mount Coronet. In an astonishing turn of events, Champion Cynthia defeated. New champion takes the throne. It's always sunny at Sunyshore Station.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Sunyshore Station, your choice for Pokemon podcasts. I'm Fus Force, and I'm joined once again by my lovely co-host, Mr. Lonely Hermit. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
And not only are we joined by the best of Joshes, we are also joined by a YouTube legend, a rising star, one of my personal favorite people to collaborate with, Mr. Landon, also known as Infernomen. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people. I copied Josh.
So original.
How are you doing today, Landon?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good to hear, man. Guys, if you don't know who Infernomen is, you need to check out his channel. He is probably the luckiest shiny hunter in the entire world. This man can literally say the word "make it shiny" and it appears. And whenever I'm on call with him, I get a shiny. It's kind of ridiculous. He was on call for me with 2 of my Reggie shinies. Not kidding. And my Shaman shiny.
Yeah.
Kind of insane. Go show him some love. He's on the way to 3K, so get him up there as soon as possible. And also retweet any of his tweets. You can follow him. What's your Twitter username?
Infernomen_YT.
Anything he says, #respawn recruits on, be sure to retweet his stuff for him. Help him out. So, getting on to today's interview, you guys know how this works, but just as a reminder for anyone, this might be their first episode. Metronome Interviews are a interview series that we are doing on Sunyshore Station, where we are going to spin a wheel. And boom, there's the wheel. Correct this time. I'm going to spin said wheel, and whatever it lands on, whatever number, that's the question we'll ask you. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and click the spin. All right, number 8. It looks like number 8 is the winner. Let's see what number 8's question is. Oh, this one's kind of an easy one, but we'll make it fun, I guess. Landon, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Incineroar. It's also my channel mascot.
All right, good conversation. That's been the podcast.
That's the podcast.
Do I dabble a little bit further and explain my journey?
Absolutely.
When I got into Pokemon, I was about 8 years old. I started with the Best Wishes anime. People are very resistant to that anime, but it's how I got into Pokemon, so I love it. But then I went to Indigo League. I watched the original because at the time on Netflix, it was Best Wishes and Indigo League. That's all you could watch. So I fell in love with Charizard. Charizard was my favorite Pokemon for a very long time. And then I got into the Hoenn region, and it's currently my favorite region, and I chose Trico. And realized after a while that Sceptile was actually my favorite Pokemon. For the longest time, Sceptile was my favorite Pokemon, even starting my YouTube channel. But the reason I went for Incineroar as my mascot is because Fire is my favorite type. Fire is the theme of my channel. You know, it all fits together. I love the Fire and Dark type. I had to go with Incineroar. I wanted a newer Pokemon that not too many people have as a mascot. I wanted to be creative. So I went with Incineroar. I already liked Incineroar a lot. And over time, it eventually became my 3rd favorite Pokemon. But recently, not too long ago, about 6 or 7 months ago, I sat down and I'm just like, I should probably stop lying to myself. I love Sceptile a lot still, but Incineroar is really my favorite Pokemon. And I've called it my favorite Pokemon since. A lot of people, don't like Incineroar because it was quadruped as Torracat and evolved into a biped as Incineroar, but there's just so many cool elements to it. As a kid, I grew up with professional wrestling, and that's kind of what Incineroar is supposed to embody. Plus, he's a tiger. I love tigers. Fire and Dark type, again, my 2 favorite types. The only other Pokemon that's Fire and Dark type is Houndoom, so, I'd say Incineroar is the better choice, but Houndoom's still a pretty cool Johto Pokemon. But yeah, I've done a lot of thought process and stuff, but I definitely don't regret my decision to call Incineroar my favorite Pokemon, because It's just a really, really cool Pokemon, and I wish I could be better with it in Smash Bros, but I definitely gotten a lot more attachment to it over my time with content creation on YouTube, and using it competitively in the EBL as well.
That's awesome. That's a really well thought out answer. I was like, oh, this is such a general question, but I'm glad that you had a really, really good response to that. I didn't know that thought process worked like that too. With I didn't know Sceptile was actually over Incineroar. I think we talked about that once, but I don't remember actually like hearing that Sceptile was actually over Incineroar. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
About how long was Sceptile like your favorite, or did you say something else was about that?
So when Sword and Shield was coming out, I did a countdown on my Twitter account, counting down. Actually, no, was it? I think it was either no. That's different. When Sword and Shield was coming out, I did a countdown of every Alola Pokemon in Pokédex order until the game came out.
That's cool.
The thing that I did a countdown for was my birthday. I did my top 10 favorite Pokemon until my birthday that year. And I was just like, I got to decide what my top 10 favorite Pokemon were. And I was just like, you know what? I've liked Charizard for a while, but it was just announced for Sword and Shield that it was getting a Gigantamax form and has 2 Mega Evolutions. I'm kind of beat with Charizard here. It's kind of draining my love for it, so I put it a little bit further down on the list. It's now not on my top 10 favorite Pokemon at all. Charizard's cool, but I just can't seem to enjoy it as much anymore as I used to. But I was just like, I've been a fan of Lizard since I was a kid. Sceptile's always been one of my favorite Pokemon. I think it is my favorite Pokemon now, so I went with that.
I gotcha. So Sceptile overtook Charizard, and then Incineroar took over Sceptile's spot.
Yeah, it went Fire, Grass, Fire.
Oh,
all starters.
That's cool. Hey, well, starters are good because they're the most nostalgic Pokemon on your team, so it kind of makes sense that people would like them a lot.
Yeah. I can go over my whole top 10 favorite Pokemon. I have like 4 starters on there.
Will you go from 10 to 1 real quick? Do you have that?
Yeah, I just gotta search it up on Twitter.
Yeah.
I can find it easily because I misspelled Zoroark.
Yeah, while he's doing that, guys, I want to just comment on the thing he said about choosing Incineroar as his mascot, because everyone chooses like different things as a YouTuber. Yeah, what Pokemon are you gonna have as like your mascot like really says a lot about you. I went with like whenever I'll get to my answer obviously, but I went with Mega Charizard X. But I'm not the only person out there that has that. I'm pretty sure Landon's the only person with an Incineroar as his like mascot. I don't think I've ever seen another PokeTuber with that.
I've seen another person. I've never gotten close to them, so I've never really interacted with them, but I've definitely seen it before. But only like one other person. And then there's somebody who's a mod for A-Drive and a bunch of people like that. His name is on the tip of my tongue. I forgot who he is, but it used to be Incineroar, but now it's Torracat.
I gotcha.
He likes Torracat more now.
There's like are they actively making Pokemon content though?
I don't know that.
I can't think of anyone on the top of my head actively making Pokemon content that has Incineroar. Hey, sound off in the comments if you're active and that's your mascot. Landon squad. Let's get a hype squad.
Shout out to the fellow Incineroar mascots. You guys rock. But I do have my top 10 favorite Pokemon here. So this is a list that I came up with in February. This was after I had finished playing Legends Arceus. So I decided at number 10 that both Zoroark forms are my 10th favorite Pokemon. I love Zoroark. Great mon from Unova. I love its concept. All shiny forms for the entire line are fantastic.
Agreed.
And what Hisuian Zoroark is based off of is really freaking cool. So I put it at number 10. And then number 9 is Scrafty. Scrafty's kind of slipped, but it's always kind of been there. I have a bias towards it. Scraggy was my first shiny Pokemon ever. I got in Pokemon White. I caught a Scraggy. My game froze. I had to go back into it. First Scraggy I encountered after that was shiny. It was my calling to do reset shiny hunts. So that was my first shiny ever. Scrafty. It just destroyed that in that playthrough. I just have a huge attachment to it. Number 8 was a new addition with this one, Swampert. I always loved Swampert, just not as much as I love Sceptile, but its design is just so good. I love designs that have like, solid primary colors or like secondary colors that also mix in with the black, like Torterra, the green with the black nose.
Yeah.
I love color combinations like that. And
I agree.
Slumber's just such a cool Pokemon I've always appreciated. So that one's at number 8. Number 7 is Surfetched. It used to be at like number 4, but it slipped a little bit. I do love Farfetch'd a lot, and I'm really glad it got an evolution in Generation 8, but I had to put a little bit lower because of how the rest of the list goes. Number 6 is Vaporeon, my favorite evolution. I've always loved Vaporeon. One of my favorite games I've ever played a solo playthrough of was the first time I played Pokemon Leaf Green. I chose Bulbasaur and based the rest of my team around what I had there because there's a lot of grass poison types in Kanto. I had to plan ahead to see what I wanted on my team, and I wanted to have the water type evolution, so I went with that. Vaporeon's been great ever since. I had Ice Beam and Hydro Pump on it, and just those moves just completely destroyed everything. So definitely love Vaporeon. Number 5 is Cinderace. I grew a love for Cinderace. I chose Sobble first, but just like Incineroar, it's another example of me choosing another starter when a new gen comes out and then loving what I love now a lot more, specifically the Fire starter. I played Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke on my channel as my second full playthrough ever, my third playthrough in general. I chose Scorbunny because it was the second starter I wanted, and I had chosen Sobble for my sword playthrough. Tricks the Cinderace barely survived against Leon in the championship battle, and that's when I grew a lot of love for it, but over time it's developed to be on my top 10 favorite Pokemon list. Number 4 is one that I talk about a lot. That's Alolan Raichu. Oh, holy crap, I almost scrolled down all the way. Alolan Raichu. Psychic Electric is such a awesome offensive type combo, special attack, all that good stuff. Plus it's very speedy. I love its design in general. I love it a lot more than Cantonian Raichu. When you think about Raichu, like in Kanto Raichu, you think, oh, that's just Pikachu's evolution. People care about Pikachu more. But Alolan Raichu is the first time I looked at Raichu and been like, that's better than Pikachu. So, I just love its design and its type combo in general.
And it's shiny.
Yeah, its shiny is really good too. Number 3 is what I talked about before, Sceptile. And Incineroar and Sceptile kind of swap places. So I kind of already went over why I love Sceptile, but there's that. Number 2 is a little bit of the controversial decision, and that's Vanillux. Vanillux will probably never step down as my second favorite Pokemon. In the same playthrough, I used Incineroar for the first time in Pokemon Sun. I was Wonder Traded a Vanillite. I decided to keep it on my team because I was like, why not have an Ice type? I usually use Alolan Ninetales or Alolan Sandslash, so I'm just like, how about another Ice type? So I went through with Vanillux, and it kicked butt. We'll say that it did a lot of damage. It destroyed the Dragon type trial for me. It was basically the Pokemon I used the most besides Incineroar on that team, so definitely grew a big attachment to Vanillux, and just all I've experienced with it has just built up my love for it. People hate on it all the time because it's just the ice cream Pokemon, but I mean, Gen 1 has so many Pokemon that are just a Pokeball that evolves into an upside down Pokeball and a pile of goo and stuff like that. So it's just like, if you're gonna say that Vanillux is bad, at least look at some Kanto Pokemon. I mean, come on. It might just be the ice cream cone Pokemon, but it's more than that to me. It's got more than just being ice cream. It's got 2 heads, for crying out loud. Have you seen my Pog emote?
I love that one.
Both
That's my
of them
favorite
are making
one.
the Pog face.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've already discussed Incineroar. That's my favorite Pokemon. I love it to death.
I absolutely love that list. That's a really, really cool, comprehensive list. Really good reasoning for all of them. I think that I agree with you, by the way. Your Vanillux Pog is my favorite emote that the members get. You guys should, by the way, go be a member on his channel. A little plug for Landon. I loved every second of that. I don't have as much of a detailed list as that. I want to do my top 10 favorite Pokemon eventually, but I have to like really narrow it down. I've got like a couple that I think would make the list, but I don't want to be super general about it, and I want to put as much thought into it as you put thought into yours, if that makes sense. But I really like your choices. They're very interesting, and they're not just like the standard choices like everyone likes. I know I love Charizard, and I'm about to get into that more after Hermit goes, but like I have a really good reason for it, but I don't like the rest of my Pokemon that I really like are not just like okay, I'm liking a cookie cutter shape of Pokemon. You know what I mean? I'll get into it a little bit later, but I'll defend it because all the people are like, oh, you like Charizard, you're a loser. But and that's enough about that right now. Hermit, why don't you go? What's your favorite Pokemon?
Hold on, wait, one sec. I've been this whole time. I literally looked up a Pokédex and I started writing stuff down. Okay, I think I got it right.
Why?
I started writing the Pokemon down. I was trying to remember because I didn't want to forget anyone.
Oh.
So for the longest time, I didn't actually have a favorite Pokemon. Honestly, I still kind of don't. In a lot of ways, like I will show favoritism towards certain ones more than others, but I just kind of have a group of Pokemon that I really like, and like I said, I would definitely rather have than a lot of other Pokemon. I'd still say Infernape. I guess if I have to pick one, and that's kind of like when I had started YouTube, I saw everyone always had their mascots and stuff, and I in a lot of ways kind of felt forced to pick a Pokemon, but I've always really liked Infernape, and one of the main reasons why was that episode of the anime where Ash fights Paul and it's Infernape versus Electivire.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So from that point on, Infernape was always like one of my favorite Pokemon, and it's just that scene alone was enough for me to just love it a lot. Not to mention it is a really good Pokemon, especially when it has Iron Fist. It's so much fun to use. So I definitely would put Infernape up there. Like I said, when I started YouTube, I saw everyone had their mascots and stuff, so I kind of felt like I had to choose a Pokemon. But it's not like I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna choose Infernape. No, I really liked Infernape, so I just decided to go with it. And honestly, I still love it. Still definitely up there as one of my favorites. And then a lot of my other choices kind of either came from experiences on YouTube or just general like
work.
Yeah, Fortress being one of them. Who likes Fortress? I don't know anyone who likes Fortress.
Me.
Now, hopefully, people who watched my stuff. Maybe they like Fortress a little more. But
I mean, I also used it.
Yeah,
so.
it saved one of my earliest series, and it was just an awesome Pokemon that I never thought I would have liked. And it's really fun to use. But yeah, Arcanine. Fortress is definitely one of them. Arcanine, I love Arcanine. Always have, always will.
Hisuian or regular?
Regular one.
Fair.
I loved writing it in Let's Go. That was like my favorite thing about Let's Go, was being able to write it. Other ones from YouTube would be Azumarill and Slowbro. I already liked them, but using them in playthroughs and stuff made me like them even more. I love them a lot. But Larvitar, weirdly enough, not Tyranitar. I like Tyranitar. Tyranitar is cool. But I honestly kind of prefer Larvitar. I just like this, I don't know, little cool looking Pokemon. And then I had chose Blastoise because that was the first starter I remember using. Corviknight, because I always thought Corviknight was cool, and then I used it and it was annoying and I loved it.
EBL.
Yep. And then Crocodile was one that I always whenever I play Unova, I always had to pick up a Crocodile. Because for some reason, I just loved its design and loved the way it looks. Still do, obviously. And then I give a shout out to the genies, the weather trio, or I guess that's not them. They're the three, Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landers. I always like them. I normally don't, like whenever I do like a top 10 or something, I normally don't include legendaries because I feel like it's kind of easy because most of them are pretty cool. But the genies are definitely like up there as some of my favorite Pokemon.
They're cool.
There's no particular order, but though that group of Pokemon is definitely like, I will always show favoritism to them, always, and I will always get them whenever I have the chance. So, but my number one probably would still be Infernape.
I love how you said you were like pressured into it because of YouTube. That was so funny.
I just looked it up. The genies, the category is the forces of nature.
Forces of nature. See, that's cool. It's a cool name.
That's a powerful subclass. I like calling them the genies, but forces of nature.
That's so cool.
That's imposing.
And Enamorus is like the force of love, I guess. I don't know.
I don't care for Enamorus too much.
It's fine.
it's just there, you know.
Yeah.
Going into my list, I would have to say that I don't have a definite as many as you guys, but I can like talk on a couple. Right off the top of the bat, I will let you guys know. You already know this if you know me at all, but Charizard is my favorite Pokemon. And if I had to get more specific about a form, Mega Charizard X, because they finally gave my boy the Dragon type. And also Blue Fire is like sick because it reminds me of Azula. You know, like Azula is like one of the awesome characters from Avatar The Last Airbender, and I thought that the fact that she had Blue Fire was sick. And then they gave my boy Blue Fire and made him a Dragon type. I was like, oh my god, I'm in love. I'm a Charizard fanboy. Everyone knows that. I collect merchandise for Charizard. I have a shadow box full of Pokemon cards that are just Charizard. I've got figurines and stickers and posters and canvases that have been painted. It's ridiculous. I'm obsessed with it. But it's because when I was a little kid, Gen 1 came out, and my cousins, Lonely and I talked about this a little bit, but my cousins had the Pokemon and I didn't because I wasn't allowed to play them. But my cousin was like, hey, take this home for 2 weeks, play it, you know, play Pokemon Yellow, play Pokemon Red. You know, they let me borrow it for 2 weeks, and I just fell in love with the idea of Charizard. You know, I didn't know that it existed until I, you know, actually bought my own Pokemon Red version, because I was like, how do I get that Pokemon? It looks like a dragon. You know, I was just like 5 or 6 and just completely floored with the idea of getting a dragon. You know, I don't know, it's just the coolest thing. And as an adult now, I am, you know, have adult money, and I can buy more Charizard things that my parents would not buy me. So it's like I'm a little kid again, enjoying Pokemon for the first time. Every time I get a new Charizard in the mail, it's like Christmas morning, you know, waking up and seeing what Santa brought or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm rediscovering it every single time I get something new. And I know Charizard is like the overrated Pokemon and stuff like that, but it just has such a special nostalgic feeling for me, and I absolutely love collecting it. So I mean, I feel like I'm not one of those Charizard stands that's like, oh hey, he's just the best, because I know he's not the best, but he's my favorite.
I think a lot of that is Game Freak's fault. Yeah, like Landon said, they just kept giving him. It was like burnout almost. That's why people kind of just got tired of seeing Charizard, because
they picked their favorites.
It was annoying for me in X and Y when he's the only one that got 2 forms, like
besides Mewtwo, literally the other favorite.
Yeah, like, could you make it any more obvious?
Right.
And then he gets Gigantamax 2 generations later, like the only one at first, and then for some reason the champion has a Charizard, which is cool and all, but
I love Leon because of that.
Yeah, it's cool and all, but why does the champion have a Kanto Pokemon? Like, I'm sure there's probably some reason in the anime or whatever, but it's just like they just kept doing Charizard stuff, and I think that's why a lot of people just got tired of it. Yeah, and the automatic obvious thing is like, oh, it's overrated, which is not. Charizard's cool, but yeah.
I'm also really happy to say that people have been hating on the new Pokemon Go Radiant Charizard card, so I'm hoping that the price will stay down so I can buy one. You know, at the time of this recording, it hasn't come out yet, but by the time this podcast actually airs, it will have been out. So I'm hoping people hate on it more so I can get me a copy of it for like not more than $50. If I had to choose other Pokemon to be on my favorites list, I'm gonna have to be partial to. You said you were talking about not choosing legendaries, Hermit, just because legendaries are cool. But I have to say that my second favorite Pokemon to this day has always been Entei. I love Entei. That's why I chose Entei as my, you know, EBL logo. I would have gone with something Charizard if I had like a, you know, a location that was actually, you know, like an alliteration, because I wanted to do something from Florida, and Everglade was something I thought of, and I was like, Entei, you know, I could do a shiny Entei. I absolutely love my Entei Shiny Luck emoticon that I have for my members. By the way, you guys should join the Fus Force. Everyone who's listening right now. Click. But yeah, I love Entei. I've always loved it because of the Pokemon Ranger game. Like, whenever you had to infiltrate that temple to get Entei, you know what I mean? That was a ridiculous battle for me, because I was like, this is the hardest thing ever. And I was like, the game's not over yet. What's going on? Because if you you have to complete all the different things, but you're not supposed to. So they trick you into doing it. I think it's the Go Rock Squad. They trick you into doing it, so it summons Entei.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so sick. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I thought the world was actually going to burn up in a volcano. And as a like little 8-year-old me playing Pokemon Ranger, or 7-year-old me playing Pokemon Ranger whenever it came out, and I'm like floored with Entei. I drew pictures of it at my Meemaw's house. I remember that I spent like hours staring at my tiny little like we had like this really crappy camera. I took a picture of this of my DS screen, and I tried to like zoom in on it so I could see the details and the line work, but it was so pixelated. It was so bad. Just a good memory. If I had to choose another Pokemon or another couple of Pokemon, I'll say one that has really stuck out with me from playing Let's Plays and Nuzlocke on the channel. Abomasnow put in work on my Platinum Randomizer Nuzlocke. I was like, oh god, this is just a subpar Pokemon, whatever. I don't care for its Mega too much whenever it was announced. So I was like, okay, whatever. It was on Route 201 in Platinum, and I was like, okay, I could have literally gotten anything else, but I got this. But it put in work, dude. I was like, I named him Obama, and I was like, Obama, bring in that healthcare. Everyone was like, what are you doing, Fus? I don't know. Except for he's like taking away your health or whatever, because he was just putting in work, man. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. It was ridiculous. Another Pokemon that I really grew attached to, just because of how freaking amazing it's been in 3 of my Nuzlocks now. I believe it's 2 or 3. But Leafeon. Leafeon's ridiculous. Leafeon is awesome.
Great.
Swords Dance Leafeon saved my butt in the champion fight in my Shield trade lock. It really did.
Leafeon's a great Pokemon.
It really is. Spoilers, it ended up dying in my Shield trade lock, but my Leafeon and my Platinum lived because it was my starter, and I was like, yes, let's go. It was just such a good Pokemon.
Leafeon's my least favorite evolution, and Josh contributed to that EVL team. So its shiny is the worst out of all the evolutions too. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Glaceon. I thought I liked Glaceon more than I liked Leafeon initially, but then Leafeon like really grew on me using it a bunch. I named my Leafeons Natsuko, which is Japanese for summer child, and I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan as well. And I love playing with Leafeon. It's also that's my fiance's favorite evolution too. One of them, I think she likes Umbreon just as much, but she really loves Leafeon. And then if I had to choose one more, because of the Everglade Entei's 2 times favorite draft pick, Rotom Wash. I love Billy Mays, man. I love Billy Mays. He puts in work. Dude, Rotom Wash is a tank, and like I absolutely love the movesets that it can use, and it came in so handy, especially during season 2. But my goodness, it was my favorite draft pick for the EBL. I had to get it. It was like, this is my absolute favorite Pokemon to use competitively because it's just so versatile, and Levitate being what it is, basically walling ground type moves, was really helpful. I used it actually a couple times to predict some ground type moves, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wasn't there a match where you did it like twice in a row, or twice in the same match?
I'm pretty sure that was against Derek.
I think. Yeah. That was the funniest thing ever.
It was really funny.
I actually have never discussed this before, but there was another name for my EBL team I was going to go with. Iowa Incineroars came from the fact that, I'm from Iowa. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do Incineroar. I'm like, I want to do something that isn't like my favorite Pokemon because, Matt's got the Braviary. Braviary is definitely not his favorite Pokemon. So I was like, what should I go with? And then I realized that, Derek's team is a Kentucky Kingler. He just took the name of his state and the fact that his favorite Pokemon also begins with the letter K. He went with that. So I was just like, okay, I win Incineroar.
I came up with his name, by the way.
Iowa doesn't have any like professional sports teams, but our most popular teams are college teams because in the not the NFL, in football, they're in the Big Ten. Both of the teams that are in the Big Ten are the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Cyclones, Iowa State. But I wanted to go with the Hawkeyes because that's the team I grew up to like. My dad liked the Hawkeyes, so I was raised to like the Hawkeyes. So I was originally going to go with the Iowa Halucha Eyes.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, that's kind of weird to say Halucha Eyes. I was like, should I make
Yeah.
it Haluchais? Like, compound it? And I was just like, it just sounds kind of weird to say it. Plus, I feel like it would be a little bit harder to, like, turn Halucha into the Iowa Hawkeyes logo.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? Let's see how I can work with Incineroar, and that's how the Iowa Incineroar came to be.
I gotta say though, that's a pretty clever use of Halucha. That's really, really neat.
Yeah. Ironically, Halucha was on my first EVL team, and that was not my decision. That was Offline's decision. So I was like, hey, look at that.
That's awesome.
And then I barely used it.
I considered using Charizard, like I mentioned, but I couldn't think of anything that was related to Florida in like use of Charizard. I don't know. I wanted Florida to be in their home state and everything like that. So the most popular part of Florida, or the part that everyone like recognizes other than Disney World, is the Everglades, because that's like the biggest area wildlife in the state. So people were like, why not go with Everglade? And I was like, and I love Entei, so I don't know, it just kind of went with there. So I really tried to use Charizard there because I love Charizard, and it would have been a really sick logo because I had a thought of that as well in my mind. I don't know. But I feel like we all had really, really good discussions for our favorite Pokemon, and it didn't turn into just like, oh hey, Incineroar and we're done, like we were joking at the very beginning. I'm glad, because it's a really, really hard decision, like Josh was saying, like especially in the YouTube game, you have to have a mascot, you know what I mean? Like if you like Pokemon and you're a PokeTuber, you have to have like a Pokemon associated with your channel. Otherwise people are like, well, what's your favorite? You're gonna get that question a million times. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a choice that he was kind of forced into, but I feel like Infernape is a really, really good choice, because it's a really good arc from the anime. Like you were saying, Paul's super, super cool. The way he treated Chimchar was just absolutely atrocious. But man, Chimchar is like, when it evolves into Infernape and its animation for Blaze,
The glow up is
it's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. The animation they use for Blaze is insane. So that's a really good choice, I would say. And then Landon, Incineroar, underrated Pokemon. I really do agree with you on that. Like you were saying, I wish I was better at using him too on Smash. It's a really cool Pokemon.
I'm a Banjo main.
You're a Banjo man. Let's go. I'm K-Rool.
I've never played Banjo and Kazooie, but I do have the Nintendo 64 online extensions, so I do plan on playing it at some point.
Yeah, you should. It's a pretty good game. But yeah, I feel like that was a really good discussion. Before we wrap everything up, is there anything else either you would like to add? I felt like we had a really good discussion, though.
Real quick, I do want to say that
Yeah.
I actually recently changed my channel banner. I don't have any Pokemon on my channel. I just remembered that. I went and looked at my channel right now, and I have no Pokemon on my channel at all.
Is that intentional?
Yeah, I think it was just subconsciously, because I never really wanted to have a mascot, but I just kind of ran with it, and I forgot that I had changed my banner and I had taken the Pokemon off of it just to make it simpler. And then plus I could use the same banner for like YouTube, or not, for like Twitch and Twitter and stuff. And it just, I don't know. I think that was like a subconscious thing I kind of did, and I honestly forgot I even did it. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about earlier.
And Landon?
So my dad's like not super duper interested in Pokemon, but like he played Pokemon Go with me, and I know he listens to podcasts all the time, so I'm gonna send him this so he can listen to it, and maybe as many of your guys' episodes as he can. But Dad, if you're watching, hi, you're hearing your son on a podcast. Are you excited?
That's right, everyone. Share with a friend. Share with a family member. Sunyshore Station's where it's at. Look, Dad, I made it.
I made it. I'm on Fus Force and Lonely Hermit's podcast.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you so much to Landon and Josh again for joining us. Landon's social medias and his channel will be linked in the YouTube description. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you head on over to his YouTube channel, Infernomen, spelled Inferno Men, M-E-N, not Inferno Man, Infernomen.
Yeah. Let me be clear. It's a compound of the words Inferno and Omen.
Yeah.
It's just one of me.
Just one. There's not multiple of him. No shadow clone jutsu over here. Be sure to check out Lonely Hermit, my beautiful co-host, as well. They are both excellent YouTubers and deserve your love and respect, so be sure to go show them some love. And if you're feeling extra lovey, be sure to check out my stuff as well. You can find all that in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been Sunyshore Station.